Stuck in a dead-end job with no way out. Find yourself going to work just to have your boss yell at you every single morning for not doing quite the right thing, even though you're working your ass off. Not getting compensated the way that you should, even though you are one of the best workers there. Tired of not being appreciated for everything you do. Well, I got news for you. You can get a cat. Well, have I got a revolutionary new way for you to make money? Yes, that's right. You could be making money from the comfort of your own home, working your own hours. Just kidding, you got to follow the London or the New York session. Wish you weren't on the West Coast like me. All right. Anyways, guys, we're going to talk about how you can go about the same direction that I was going and get yourself from working a full-time job into becoming a profitable full-time trader, quitting your job and moving on to something more fulfilling than just working for somebody else in, a shitty little cubicle like you might already be doing right now. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, let me draw you a little picture of basically how I was able to achieve the financial freedom that I am living with today. Now having multiple sources of income. I will be honest, you guys do know that I do mentorships. I do have signal programs. I do have external sources of revenue, including affiliate things like this. But I was able to get to a point in trading where I was safe enough to trade on my own, not making big money, but I was able to get to a point where I am satisfied quitting my job. And many of you do know I gave a quick little video there a while back in February when I actually did quit my job. So this is just going to be a little bit of an update of how I was able to get to that position and how you guys might be able to follow along in those footsteps. I'll give you a little bit of advice here, and hopefully, you can get to a similar position. So my first recommendation, essentially, that was able to get me to this position was I had a job where I was able to learn while at work. And I didn't have to really work a major effort into the actual job that I was in. So my picture was essentially in 2017. I was working as a systems admin, doing various IT work that wasn't super labor intensive, and I was able to essentially sit at the computer, knowing a lot of IT people, graduating from an IT program. I had some friends that were involved in the cryptocurrency space. Now, cryptocurrency, we jumped in 2017 there. We got a nice little bit of a rally and made a little bit of money on the way up there. You guys all know how it ended, where essentially mostly everything that everyone made was lost, and anyone who had jumped in late lost even more. It was only the very few at the very beginning, those IT nerd type people that made any money at all. I think my friend made $100,000 on the rally up, and he sold off. So he was one of the best result ones. I think he had something only like 6 Bitcoin and then sold them off like that. So he pretty much timed it extremely well off of a small investment. So that was great for him. I didn't make quite as much as the same, but I was able to make some money there, and I was able to learn some things. Now, sitting in this IT job, this is my first recommendation for you. If you are serious about getting into trading and you currently have a job where you're doing something like you're a server, or you are a construction worker, or you're doing anything labor intensive, or you actually have to focus at work and you have to work the whole time, then I'm going to say immediately quit. Or you're going to have a job where you could be working kind of the night shift, or the opposite shift of the actual market hours, or something where it kind of is not overlapped essentially to where you would be looking for your main trading hours. So my main trading hours is the New York Open. So that's the London and the New York overlap, those 3 hours there. So you have to figure out when that is for you. For me, that's about 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. So I realized later on now that I didn't actually have to be trading the whole time at work, but it did give me the opportunity to learn a lot of stuff while at work, because I was practicing trading and I was actually learning a lot of things through education purposes while working. Now, you guys don't need to do this if your work hours are not the same hours as those 3 times. And the other alternative would be to go into like swing trading. If you absolutely love your job and it's very time intensive and you're not going to have any time to actually practice trading, and it does overlap those major New York London overlap, then you're basically not going to have any other options except for doing swing trading, which essentially you're going to be able to look at the market once per day at the end of your work shift and just figure out on the higher time frame how you're going to be going about your trading for the next day, or you can be planning to trade for that whole week and do very long-term trading. If you are lucky enough to not have to do the swing trading, you're going to be able to get a lot more experience a lot faster, because you're going to be able to take a lot more trades. So this is what I would recommend if you really want to buckle down and get things done as quickly as possible. What I would say is make sure you're actually trading at least demo or live those 3 hours every single day, looking for 1 or 2 trades every single day during that time. And then the rest of the day, you're going to do just as little as work as possible at work. That's essentially what I was doing. I was doing the bare minimum, and I'll tell you guys right now that I never had a job for a year. I was quickly fired from every single job I had because I was never able to focus on somebody else's work. And I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that you think that maybe you're crappy workers, but the reality is people who don't want to work for somebody else always end up getting put out in that same bucket as someone who's lazy. When the reality for me, I was incredibly driven when it comes to my own work ethic and my own ideas, my own companies, my own trading. I would work incredibly hard, but I would never be able to work for somebody else. So if you are one of these people that are in that bucket, then I do actually recommend that you slack off and you really follow the dream that you have there to learn as much as possible. So I would recommend, watching YouTube videos during your work hours. Just do the bare minimum. I know this might sound like terrible advice for many people out there, but this is essentially what I did, and I am incredibly happy that I did it. And I never, in a sense, gave up and started working for somebody else, just like society kind of dictates that we should do, and we should kind of follow those rules. I think it's I think that's kind of the boring way out of life. That's the unrisky way. That's the less exciting way. And that's the way that I do not want to live my life personally. I always want to be taking these different risks and new projects and learning new things. And I believe that many of you watching these videos right now are in a similar boat because you are going out and you're doing that effort for your own, just watching videos like this and learning for yourself. So, congratulations, you might be in a similar boat as me. I really hope you guys kind of get there to that same point. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is essentially you're going to keep learning these different things, and you guys have heard it over and over again from this channel. I want you guys to be back testing all of these different strategies that you've learned, and you can, again, do it at work. You can use TradingView, assuming they haven't blocked that website, right? I had one place that blocked it, and then I quickly used a VPN. They realized I was using a VPN because it triggered something in the security systems, and then they fired me immediately. Because I wasn't allowed to do that. So if they are, restrictive, then you might have to switch that job. But you are going to have to go back and you're going to have to backtest somehow. Once you find that proven profitable strategy, you're going to start following it, each morning or whatever, right before work. That's what I would have done if I was in a similar situation now, being on the West Coast here. In different time zones, you obviously do it at different times. And then you're going to slowly see that you are able to make that profitability, right? So now you're going to be at a point where you realize that you can make money, but you're not going to have enough money to live off of, at which point you have a couple options. What I originally did was I started looking for very small side sources of income, maybe like little bits of affiliate type thing, but not being somebody with any, YouTube personality or fame at that point. It didn't really do a whole lot for me. And so I had to focus on some other source of side income while then bringing more time into the trading world. So I essentially just broke my workload into a part-time day. So I told my work that, I'm going after my company here, and my trading, and I'm going to only work part-time. At which point, for me personally, I kind of was working with another buddy who was starting a different company, the Vago company there, which he is actually a broker now, and I was a part of that for a little while before eventually breaking off and realizing that I kind of wanted to do my own thing because we had a little bit different vision of what we wanted to both do. He was going much bigger scale and not as maybe I'll say not as connecting with the users, not as I maybe morally just as I wanted to be, and so he was much more driven by global sense of money, and I was not as much. I wanted to focus more on helping and dealing with people, talking to people, much more connection with the different means there. So I decided after we had made a couple of videos already, I'm just going to buy my own webcams, I'm going to buy my own stuff, and I'm just going to start making videos kind of just for fun, and start teaching. I didn't actually expect it to blow up very quickly there, but I did realize, YouTube ads after maybe 6 months or something, I'd be able to support myself a little bit. And I was a little bit worried. I didn't know exactly, but I was knowing at that point that the trading alone was going to keep me afloat, in a very small sense, with not a whole lot of excess money to go along with. Now, this is kind of the thing that I wanted to make clear to you guys, is that if you are going to do something like this, you need to have that second source of income going into it, where I had part-time job for, that was maybe only about 2 months. And then I knew that YouTube would eventually become something a little bit bigger. And I was also slightly working with my old partner company there, where I was making little bits of money there as well. So overall, if my trading did terribly and I made no money trading, I would have been able to support myself, and that way I would not have to worry about making money actually trading, although trading did make me enough money that I was able to be fine with it. Now, a few months after that, YouTube started to really blow up. Things were going super, super well. People really appreciated what I liked. So I moved away from my Vago partner there. I no longer really deal with him anymore. And about 2 months after working part-time on the job there, I completely quit. And I no longer needed that job anymore because YouTube ads was actually paying me just enough to then make me feel safe about my trading once again. And like I'm saying, is you need to feel safe that you can actually make no money trading and still live your life. Now, eventually, we started making more money, and I started putting more money into the trading, and now trading makes me even more and more and more. And then we started growing this new business here, right? So ultimately, we are now starting new companies and focusing energy elsewhere after I have figured out that trading for myself. I really now enjoy creating a new project that's a huge challenge for me. And that's something that I always need to be doing, is once I figure something out, I will move to the next project. So now I know how to trade. There's not a whole lot more for me to learn in trading. I could get a little bit better. So now I'm focusing my energy elsewhere. Once this project is done, I have much bigger plans for bigger and bigger projects. I have a few more up my sleeve that I want to work on over the next 5 years. And it's going to be super cool. And we're just going to keep automating everything. And I think you guys might be interested in something similar. And the similar path is you figure it out on your own, you develop it, and then you automate it somehow, either getting other people to work it for you or have automated bot systems run it for you. Or, trading in a sense is somewhat automated, where you're just kind of blindly following the same rules over and over. That's kind of automated, but you just check it every single day, and that's all you're doing. And then you move on to the next challenge. I think that's super cool. I hope a lot of you share a very similar insight, a very similar logic of how you want to live your life. But that's essentially how I got to the point where I am now. And we are going to continue moving forward. And I will, of course, give you guys an update in, maybe another 6 months to a year to tell you guys how things have been going. After a year of quitting my job, we'll probably do that in February, but things have been going absolutely way better than expected. And it was really something, guys, that I was pretty terrified to do. And I think every other entrepreneur says it, that they had to dive just headfirst into the waters, not knowing exactly what's going to happen. And then you have to make yourself basically sink or swim. And if you know yourself and you know that you're not going to sink, then you will, of course, make it just the same that I did. So I hope that was interesting for you guys. If you do like my content, please make sure you subscribe. If you do want to join part of the most woke trading community in the world, hit the link in the description below. There is also a Signal group there if you are interested in it. Follow me on Instagram. There's also a link there on Instagram. You can kind of follow the life a little bit closer.
Listen.